Today's workout is a 15-minute joint-friendly strength workout using a resistance band. We'll work all the muscles in the body with just a band, but you won't miss the extra weight. It's postpartum and prenatal friendly. Let's get started. Hey mamas, welcome to today's workout. We've got a 15-minute joint-friendly strength workout. We're gonna be using a resistance band, anything light to moderate, or you can do this with body weight as well. Let's go ahead and place that resistance band about a fist distance above your knees. So make sure it's tight, you've got some tension on that band. We're gonna bring the feet right underneath the hips. I'll show you from the side. We're gonna start with a deadlift. So you're gonna hinge from the hips, come to a flat back position. You might touch the toes or not quite, but you wanna make sure you're hinging at the hips so you're not bending at the knees like a squat. You're pushing your butt back so you feel that load in the glutes, hamstrings, quads, and then right where you feel that tension, you're gonna stop. It should be about a flat back and your chin should be tucked. Again, you might be able to reach for the toes, but if you can't go all the way here, that's totally fine. As soon as you start to feel your compensation happening, that rounding of the spine, or starting to push the knees out, that's how we know we're at our end of range of motion. So continuing to push through those heels, squeeze your butt at the top. And again, you want that back long and straight, so chin tucked at the bottom, driving through those heels. Okay, we're gonna do a side step laterally. So go ahead and come to one end of your mat. We're gonna bring the feet about hip distance apart. You can place your hands anywhere that's comfortable for you in front of the body. We're gonna just step side to side with a little micro bend in the knees, keeping it going. Now you never bring your feet totally together. You want to keep a little space in between the feet to keep that tension on the band. And what this is gonna do is warm up those side glutes. So the big part of that glute muscle, we wanna shift the hips back a little bit so we're not, again, pushing those knees out. And then we wanna lead with the side of the foot. So make sure you're not opening your hip and rotating to open it up. We wanna keep that work, again, in that meaty part of the glute. Chest up, again, even as you're hinging forward, I don't want you to round the spine and compensate. So we wanna keep that spine long and straight. And the reason we don't wanna compensate or do that, that's because it takes that work out of the glute, puts it into the back in ways that are not joint friendly. We're gonna go to a standing hip extension. So what we're gonna do here is take the leg back, alternating sides. We're gonna extend it back to the back corner and switch. Other side to the back corner. So you're gonna shift your weight side to side a little bit, but what I don't want you to do is lean over. You wanna keep everything square and keep that chest up. Again, you're going to have to shift your weight forward slightly to extend through the hip. That's normal, but what you don't want to do, again, compensate, round through the spine. And that's the biggest compensation I see with a lot of the standing work. A lot of the work we're going to do today is that rounding of the spine, so that's why I keep addressing it, long, straight spine, because as much as this is about the glutes here, it's also about the core and requiring that core to work hard to function properly. We got to have that neutral spine position. We got to have that hinge from the hips, driving that heel to the corner. We're almost there, and then we're gonna make our way to the floor. So now come down, hands and knees, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. You want the belly braced, you want the toes untucked, and we're gonna take the front leg, knee under the hip, we're gonna extend it back. Bend the knee, leave it off the ground, extend it back, drive through the heel, toes down, heel up right here. We wanna make sure we keep everything square to the floor, belly braced, and again, hands under shoulders. So if you start to come here or shift too far forward, you're gonna feel yourself start to be thrown off balance. So you wanna make sure you're keeping everything nice and square. Driving that heel back, really powerful with the kick. You're not moving fast, it's not jerky, it's smooth, but driving through the heel, like you're really trying to push something from behind. Drive it away, good. This is so good for the core, the muscular slings of the back. Couple more here. And we're gonna rest at the bottom. We're gonna get a little break, but keep on that same side. So what we're gonna do next is extend the leg straight back so the toe stays pointed down, leg is about hip level. We're gonna open it to the side and then to the back. Side and to the back. So extending that hip without opening that hip and externally rotating or internally rotating the hip. We want to keep everything square. So if you feel yourself falling here or here, square it up, push through the hands. This is a lot of shoulders as well. So if you find yourself fatiguing in the shoulders, back is starting to sag, belly's not braced, we wanna make sure we can take a break when we need it. It's a long interval, and that's on purpose because that gives you plenty of time to work into that exercise, to find that really sweet spot between it's really challenging, but also we can maintain that good technique, and that is always the goal with these exercises. All right, whew. We're gonna keep that side extension. We're gonna keep the leg extended out to the corner and make it a pulse. So again, reset that posture, reset the core to the corner and pulse, lift the heel, pulse. So it's just a little lift, again, about hip level, an inch up and down, pulse. Now again, long intervals mean long time under tension, faster you're gonna fatigue, especially when we've been working this side for a few reps, for a few sets. So if you need to, take that break when you need it. If you feel, again, that spine compensation, the core starting to lose control, take a break when you need. Try to keep that leg up. You might feel it start to drop. And this is a good opportunity too, if you're really like, I cannot keep doing this, lose a band. You don't have to use the resistance band. It's still a good strength workout, even without it, especially if you're newer to this stuff. I always suggest trying it a couple times without the band. Rest. Okay, we've got one more. This time we're gonna do a scorpion pulse, get those hamstrings a little bit more. So you're gonna extend the leg, bending the knee, curling it in, so bring the calf toward the hamstring and drive up through the heel. So you're flexing the foot, drive it up. Now this is gonna feel kind of awkward to keep the tension in that hamstring, but I want you to think like a hamstring curl. Pull it in and then push upward. This one's tough, you guys. You know, if I'm kind of stammering my words, I'm like dying over here. Even if you're using a light resistance band, I've got a medium band today, but again, you do not need it. You will feel this one. It's so good for, again, that back body, that posterior chain, especially if you're postpartum, or just you sit a lot, you've got back issues, and who doesn't, honestly? Our culture is just so sedentary and sits in postures that are not good for our back. All that being said, this one helps kind of reverse some of that poor posture and those bad posture habits we adopt. Okay, moving on to a glute bridge with an abduction lift. So we're gonna come to the back, feet close to butt, hands by your sides. We're gonna lift up, drive the knees out and in. Lightly tap the butt or keep it off the floor. Out and in. So the knees are pushing out against the band, heels down. Your toes might need to lift a little bit to allow that abduction to happen. Perfectly fine. I want you to stop where you feel that burn in the glutes and hamstrings. If you've come here and you're starting to feel it more in the back or the hip flexors, lower down a hair, and then that's where you want to stop and drive the knees out. Again, that's going to keep that work in the back, but not give you that over excessive arch in the low back and not give you that drive through the hip flexors. We want to relax those hip flexors a little bit. We're gonna stay on the glute bridge, so this is building the foundation for our next exercise. We're gonna keep challenging those outer hip muscles, but we get a quick recovery. So next up, we're gonna take it up and pulse it, knees out and in, 50 seconds. Ready, go. Make sure you keep that strong core brace. So zip up that core, bottom, middle, top, belly button to spine, ribs down. Everything's braced, glutes are engaged. Push those knees out as far as you can. Again, good time to lose the band if you need it. Now don't just push out further. I want you to stop them where they're not coming together as much, right? So not only are we pushing out more, but we're not letting them come in. You wanna make sure if your knees are coming in past hip width apart, they're collapsing into each other. That means you either need to lose the band or correct. We want to keep that tension on the outer hips the whole time. Woo, almost there. Okay, moving on to the other side. You notice we only did one side of the glute kickbacks, right? And all that side glute work. So we're gonna switch legs this time and do the opposite leg. So knees under hips, kick it back, bring it in, leave the knee off the floor, extend through the hip, drive through the heel. Again, like you're trying to push something heavy behind you. Push it away through that heel. As you're pushing, make sure not to shift back. Keep that body weight forward, wrists under the shoulder line. Kicking about hip level or below. That resistance band is going to inhibit the height of your kick, and that's okay. You're not ever trying to kick above hip level because, again, that takes the work out of the glute, puts it into the low back, and that's not necessarily dangerous. It's just not where we want it. I know some of you can maybe kick high if you're a former dancer or something, but that's not where we're going today. Resistance is the key. So if you find you're going really fast here or, again, kicking really high, maybe you need a little more resistance. Rest at the bottom for a sec, and we're going to go to that side hip extension. Here, if you need to shift back, put your butt back toward your hands to give your wrists a break, to give your shoulders a break, that's okay. Side extension, to the back, to the corner, the back, to the corner. Again, make sure you're not opening the hips, rotating internally or externally. It's hard to do that, but when you resist that rotation through the hips, you're really working that core stability. So yes, this is a glute exercise. You're gonna feel it in your butt and your hamstrings, but it's a great core stability exercise involving not just the abs, but glutes, hamstrings, shoulders, your back. It's full body in a different way than you would think full body exercise, right? Remember keeping that core zipped up, nice and tight, pelvic floor engaged. And if you're unfamiliar with that terminology I'm using or the references I'm using, check out my deep core breathing and workouts. I have several of them, but I'll explain and break down a little bit more of that breathing so you're familiar with the terminology. Okay, side out, extension and pulse. So to the corner, toe down, heel up. And the reason we want that toe down, heel up is because it allows us to work into that glute. If we rotate it, again, it's gonna take the work out of the glute. And you can point your foot here, that's fine, point your toe. But I like to flex and really feel that heel drive up. And again, if you feel yourself shifting, I felt myself kind of doing that there, just course correct, try to push your hands evenly into the floor. Oh, if you feel yourself bending the knee, extend it back out or take the band off. Again, I want you to stay with that strong technique. If the technique's not strong, take a break or lose the band. If you find yourself collapsing, that leg is barely getting off the floor, lose the band. Again, it's not kicking high, but we want it in that mid-range, right about hip height. Okay, we got one more. Shift back if you need a little recovery, but not long because we're going to those pulses, scorpion lift. So extend, bend, calf to the hamstring, let's go. Drive it up, heel to the sky. This one you will feel a little bit more in your low back because we've got that hamstring component. We're pushing the heel upward, we're going higher than hip level. And I want you to feel it more in your low back. If it is painful, obviously you should stop, recorrect, and check with another provider. I always suggest you seeing an individual personal trainer or pelvic floor PT to help you really master your form in these. Obviously, I can give you good exercises, but I can't see you do them. All right, keep driving that heel up. Keeping that tension in that glute, the back, the hamstring. So good, again, for posture or strengthening the back of the body. It's a lot of times that back pain, I'd say all the time, is related to a weak core. So we gotta strengthen the back by doing things like that. Okay, now coming to a tabletop position, we're gonna bring the hands under shoulders, fingertips fan to the side, butt under shoulders. We're gonna lift the hips up and then down. So you want your feet about hip width apart here, and then you're gonna bridge the hips at the top, tucking that tailbone under, driving through the heels. If you want to make it even more challenging, bring the butt right under that shoulder line and then really drive it forward right here. More explosive movement. And if you want even more of a challenge, try to keep your butt off the floor. That's hard, I know. I've got long arms, so I have a little bit of an advantage there, but. And you see I'm rocking back onto my heels. I have to lift my toes a bit. That's fine. It's more about keeping those heels down right here. Couple more. Now you can really even feel that heart rate going up, right? If you didn't already, okay. Whew. One more here, we're gonna do that tabletop bridge. This time we're gonna do a leg extension, so one leg extends straight out. Ready, hands under shoulders. Set the posture, shoulder blades back and down. Extend the leg, hips under the shoulders. Extend the leg. Now you might need to adjust, I need to bring my feet a little closer to my body to feel stable. That is perfectly fine. Everybody's gonna be a little bit different based on your body, how long or short your legs are or arms are. But you want, again, those feet hip width apart, feet close to butt, enough to where you can push those heels down right here and feel that bridge, but not too far away to where you really can't get those hips up in the bridge. This is so challenging. All the resistance, all those muscles working together. We're at the very end, so we're fatigued, but we are finishing strong. Last one. 15 minutes. We got it done. And you feel how we have worked everything in the body, but with a big emphasis on the core. So not only did we have a joint-friendly full body workout, but a big emphasis on working the deep core, pelvic floor, the postural muscles of the back, glutes, everything we need to really strengthen the body and make everything we do outside of workouts like this more effective, whether that's running, strength, cardio, core training is where it's at, and that's what we just did. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments. I always love to hear feedback. If you like this type of workout, if you want to see more, or if you want to see different types of workouts, let me know. And if you want a more comprehensive workout guide structured for postpartum fitness, I've got my YouTube guides linked in the description below, as well as everything I've used here today. Thanks, guys. I'll see you back here for our next workout together.